You're about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So before we begin, I got a busy day today. This rising anti-Semitism is driving me crazy. And hearing this Cornell student who turned down an internship because he didn't want to work with Jews. For those of you out there that don't want to associate with the Jew or Jews, you might want to stop using Google. You might want to turn off your Bluetooth. You might not want to reach for that aspirin. You might want to rethink taking an antibiotic. You might want to then, if you really, really don't want to associate with Jews, avoid getting the chemotherapy for your cancer. Avoid getting dialysis. Reject the pacemaker. Put down that ballpoint pen. Do you know how many things that you are using every day that was invented or associated with a Jew? When you're snapping pictures on your phone, you realize that technology was designed by a Jew. I mean, if you really, really don't want to associate with Jews, you might want to go live in a cave. You can't have it both ways. You can't be a racist, anti-Semite, discriminatory piece of crap, meanwhile enjoying and benefiting off of using your Bluetooth and Google and all these other things. And getting your vaccines. It's ridiculous. Going back to this Cornell student, okay? This kid's a piece of work. Austin Franco apparently applied for a summer internship with VRYFID or VRYFID. This startup was founded by the Einhorn brothers, who actually are Jewish. But the Cornell student turned it down. All right. And he wrote back after he applied for the summer internship, not interested in working for a Jew. Apparently, this company links renters with landlords using a system aimed at preventing fraud. It was co-founded by Gabe and Aiden Einhorn, and they are self-described proudly Jewish. Good for these guys. 19-year-old Franco was from Virginia, contacted them through an online job board handshake. When he got responded back, I mean, look at how all these young people can barely get a response because of AI. He actually got responded back and offered the internship to come in for an interview. Instead, he turns around and says, no, not interested working with Jews. His experiences with Jews have not been pleasant. Now, there's been, a lot of now back and forth on this. You know, have I ever had an experience with a Jew that was not pleasant? Yes. Are there some Jews on this planet that I do not want to hang out with? Yes. Are there some Christians, Muslims, LDS? It's ridiculous that, somebody may have a faith and that then stereotypes a whole population of individuals. All right. There are so many people. I've had predators. I've known so many different people of so many different faiths and creeds and nationality. I'm going to stop associating with white people because somebody who was white wronged me. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. And, when you look at the people don't understand that, they think that they're anti-Semitism and anti-Zionist and anti-Jew and anti-whatever they think is now the, soup of the day, in terms of now we're seeing such a huge rise in anti-Semitism, and people aren't even hiding it. Well, then, if you really, really are true to the cause, turn off your computers. Stop using your phones. Just to kind of take a look at some of the accomplishments here. Artificial kidney dialysis machine created by chemist Willem Kolff. He is also a pioneer in artificial organs, chemotherapy, George Hitchings, streptomycin, an antibiotic that we have used and helped make other antibiotics. Selman Waksman, our polio vaccine, Jonas Salk. Bet you didn't know. Your TV remote control, your USB flash drive. Don't even get me started on Albert Einstein and the theory of relativity and all the other things that have been designed as a result of his work in physics. Programming languages like BASIC, your TCP IP protocols that power the internet, designed by Robert Kahn. I mean, if you're really, really that anti-Semitic and you don't want anything to do with the Jew, go back to paper and pencil, not ballpoint pen, because the ballpoint pen was also invented by a Jew. Our Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, which we really rely on to an obsessive degree. Broadcom co-founder Henry Samueli, key innovator in that. Your blue jeans, Levi Strauss and Taylor Jacob Davis. Your blue jeans. Take off your blue jeans. Take off a lot of your clothes then. Your TV remote control by Robert Adler. Ballpoint pen was from Hungarian-Argentine journalist Laszlo Biro. Our traffic light. Garrett Morgan patented what we now have today is that what was designed off of a T-shaped traffic signal. Garrett Morgan. If you go to Walmart or go to a grocery store, you might want to rethink grabbing that shopping cart. The shopping cart was designed by Sylvan Goldman. Don't be, talking to me about Marvel movies and because Stan Lee, Jewish. Steven Spielberg, Jewish. It's. I'd really like to see what what these anti-Semites are doing. Did you know that the barbecue Texas brisket was invented by an Ashkenazi Jew? Yeah, your barbecue. They say here that historical food research attributes the method of smoking beef brisket in Texas to Ashkenazi Jewish butchers who were able to design barbecue pits, etc. And Barbie. Before you guys drool over Margot Robbie, Barbie invented by a Jew. 1-877-Dolly, don't go away.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799 and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot's Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot's Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
back on the Dr. Dali Show. 1-877 Dr. Dali, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So the Iran deal, or the memorandum of understanding, got signed at Versailles yesterday or last night. And there's been a lot of head scratching. Is this a really good plan? Is this worth it? What did we gain? We gained. Didn't gain everything I thought we would gain, but we did gain. Do I like the 14-point plan? I think I had the false hope that everybody else did, that this Iranian regime would go, that America would do their part, Israel would do their part to allow the Iranian people to get the courage and the strength to be able to overthrow their government. It didn't happen. So, is this the next best thing? The key takeaways with this Iran deal is, in the short term, I'm not going to ascribe that this is going to be long term, but in the short term, Iran's nuclear capability has been really, really damaged. And so in the next, probably, short-term future, we don't have the threat of Iran and their nuclear capabilities, which I think is huge. It's just not the 100% we wanted. We want Iran to never have nuclear capabilities. This is what Trump is shooting for in the agreement, and basically this MOU is the start of then a finalization that's going to happen over the next 60 days. Trump says they're never going to have a nuclear weapon. I just don't trust the Iran regime, so I do think they're going to rebuild. I guess they get $300 million for reconstruction, not from American money, but from the Gulf states. Are they going to use that money to rebuild? Are they still going to work with their proxies and their terrorist groups? I wanted the Iran regime gone, but a lot of them are gone, but they have they're a cancer, and they just keep, infecting others and still growing. So we have not knocked out this cancer, and the radiation and chemotherapy, if I could use a metaphor from Trump, did a lot. And I guess the hopes is that Iran is in remission and the cancer of the Iran regime is in remission. But I am very skeptical that they're going to stay in remission. So the Strait of Hormuz opening, oil flowing, gas prices dropping. It could be that what Trump wanted is, because of all the pressure that's coming up with the election. And he might have said, look, what we're going to do is kick the can down the road. Let's get the gas prices down. Let's get people happy again. And then the second Iran starts up, again, we'll go. And another thing, too, is with the War Powers Act, even though Trump's wings weren't clipped on that because Congress, we were in a ceasefire and, they didn't vote to stop it. If enough time has passed, he'll be able to restart that clock again. So I don't think that hostilities, and I don't think this is over by any means. But what we did gain, from this, because I know people are looking at this as, oh my gosh, we messed up, or no, I don't look at that at all. First and foremost, we really annihilated a lot of Iran's capability, short term, and maybe some long term effects, but we hit them and hit them hard. Number two is, after the Biden presidency, and there was this, kind of lackadaisical attitude towards, America's not going to do anything, we can go and screw around with Taiwan, or we could screw with Ukraine, or we could, whatever, leaders of other countries' sentiment was, okay, they got to see, no, don't mess with America. Okay, I mean, we could find your leaders, kill them before you even can say what just happened. All right, so we were able to display to the world that we have amazing capabilities. All right, and Iran is nothing to us. We were able to take control of the Strait of Hormuz, and we can, we're leaders. We're leaders in this, and that we want peace. I know people are accusing Trump of not wanting peace by starting this, but sometimes the best defense is a good offense, or the best offense is a good defense. We need to make sure that Iran cannot, with all their threats and the multiple decades of them attacking Americans and killing Americans and hostages and funding Hamas and Hezbollah and all and Russia, we needed to show that, oh no, we're here, we're ready, and don't mess with us. So I think that was extremely, extremely valuable. We also got a terrorist regime to actually come to the table and negotiate and agree to things. It would be nice, if they could all be gone and that the Iranian people could rise up and take control and put a democratic government in place. But unfortunately, Iran is still pretty powerful, but not powerful enough to be able to still withstand what, America could do. So that's huge. The other thing, too, that we gained is getting other countries involved. One thing that has really ticked us Americans off is we seem to be carrying all the heavy loads. We seem to be doing all the work. We seem to be doing most of the funding for everything. So if Iran wants to rebuild, he's going to have to rely on Saudi Arabia, UAE. We're being told that this 300 U.S. tax dollars are not going to this, but this billion in investments are coming from the Gulf states Iran attacked. So what that now does is bring in other countries. We saw Europe being absolute weenies when it came to this, right? But we saw the Gulf states go, okay, you know what? No. This doesn't work. I mean, look at the Abraham Accords. That was huge. Now, I know there's a lot of people that criticize Trump. I really credit, all right, some of the movements we've had in the Middle East in terms of for there to be actual allies in the Middle East that will work with Israel and the U.S. That's huge. Why? Because some of these leaders are smart. They're like, wait a second. Okay, we could be really strong. We could do really, really well. We can make our people happy. We all don't have to be about annihilating Israel and blowing them off the face of the earth and being against Western countries. We could actually do better working with them. Now, when you have terrorists and you have, completely psychotic individuals, no, they're not going to think that way. But when you have, very level-headed individuals like, no, we're going to work with our allies. And many of these Gulf states are like, no, we see that there's a better option. And so now what we have is other countries because many of them were like, we're not even going to mess with Iran. Now they're involved. They're entrenched in this. And if Iran wants the money, they got to work with these other countries. Am I happy that they're kind of getting the ability to still grow their economy and all that? Look, most of what we needed to do was to end the suffering of the Iranian people and ending the threat. I don't know if the Iranian people are still going to be suffering. My guess is they will. And this regime is going to try to rebuild and try to get more control and get more power. The way this is written, according to Trump, is if they screw up in any way, it falls through. Now, we've seen what happened with red lines in the past. All right. And lately, Trump has not had the best track record on, all right, we're putting a red line here, and if you mess with us, we're going to bomb your bridges, or we're going to. So I think they know that Trump's Achilles heel. What was like with Superman? Gene Hackman knows the Achilles heel of Superman was the people. Trump doesn't want any schools getting bombed. He doesn't want to see any Iranians getting hurt. He doesn't want to see Americans ticked off because of gas prices. They see Trump's weak spot. But what they don't understand is after the midterms, and when Trump's in his final 2 years, he might not care. And what's going to drive Trump is the legacy of bringing peace and being successful in some of these foreign policy efforts. So what my take is on all of this is this Iran deal gives us some wins. Not everything we wanted. Lets Iran, at least save some face and hopefully, maybe work towards a common goal. But once some of these idiots in there decide to act up, it's going to give Trump the excuse to go in and really do what he wanted. That's my guess. 1-877-Doc-Dolly. Don't go away.
Looking for a gift that can actually help secure someone's future? It's Mark Falter's new book, Common Sense Income Strategies. It makes the perfect gift for that special someone in your life. Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using time-tested strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. To learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Secure your future with Common Sense Income Strategies by Mark Falter. Again, to learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635.
We are back on the Dr. Dolly Show. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. So, to use marijuana or not use marijuana is still the question. I think we have enough data saying, look, if you don't have to use it, don't use it. But everybody and their mother seems to be on it. And yes, there's a lot of moms out there on it. I see it. And I voted to legalize it. I live in Southern Nevada. When we had that on a referendum or on our, when we had that on our, I think, it was a referendum that we had to approve. I did vote yes on that because I wanted us to be able to study it and see what medical applications there are. Make sure the police didn't have to be burdened with, those, to me, small crimes compared to all the other bad things that happen out there. In fact, I was just in Alaska at the Walmart a couple times, and there was a shooting at a Walmart that injured officers. I mean, these are the things I want our police to deal with, not somebody possessing a bag of weed. But the one thing I did not anticipate, and I should have anticipated, sadly, was that the cannabis would run rampantly through our high schools and even middle schools, and that kids would be exposed, having access to it, and using it even more than cigarettes and alcohol. That's a concern, especially since you see the dropout rate. I don't need to go and get a job. I could just play video games in my mom's basement. And I think it really damaged a lot of kids. But what about adults and cannabis use? So we have a new study where it's actually kind of defying what we thought cannabis can do in terms of our memory, in terms of our inhibitory control, our cognitive functioning. And new research published in the American Medical Association, and funded by the National Institute on Drug Abuse, said that the long-term impact of marijuana use on cognitive ability may be not as damaging as previously thought. Now, I beg to differ because I have seen individuals who have been, long-time users, and they just don't seem to have the functioning. In fact, that's what they came to see me for, because they were having memory issues. But was it the marijuana or was it something else that they were doing? I assumed it was the marijuana. Well, in this AMA study being reported by Newsweed, there's News Feed. This is called Newsweed. The AMA study was conducted among patients recently authorized to use cannabis for medical purposes. And according to the study, they found no substantial decline in cognitive function after 1 year of regular use. Okay, now, it's not that they studied people who used it for 40 years. This is 1 year. How did they deduce this? Well, they looked at functional MRIs, or magnetic resonance imaging, to monitor the brain activity during cognitive tasks, measuring changes in areas such as the working memory, reward processing, inhibitory control. And these were Boston area participants. So they followed 57 Boston. I like Bostonians, all right? Okay. But after following 57 Boston area participants over a 12-month period, they found that there was no statistically significant difference in the brain activation between baseline scans and follow-up scans 1 year later. Okay, you know what? There's already a limitation in the study. You used Bostonians. Bostonians are pretty shrewd. They're pretty quick. Same thing with New Yorkers. I don't think you're going to be able to detect because their baseline is so quick and astute, and I think we needed a different population base. So this study suggests that cannabis, if you're using it in mild to moderate amounts for pain, anxiety, depression, sleep disorders, had minimal effects on cognitive domains. So according to the researchers, they said working memory, reward, and inhibitory control tasks did not differ statistically between baseline and end line and were not associated with changes in cannabis use frequency. So what does that mean? Does it mean you could smoke? No. Okay, we've had, and use it? No, we've had many studies showing that recreational cannabis impairs cognitive function. But that's the difference. Recreational versus medical cannabis. So this study looked at medical cannabis as opposed to recreational. Recreational, medical cannabis, yes, you can use a bong, and it doesn't always have to be Marinol or pharmaceutical grade cannabis, but maybe it's because the medicinal dosing has a little bit more science to it. Maybe there's some more control to it, as opposed to, I want to go and get baked. So I think there is a difference between recreational use and medicinal use. Now, a study in 2022 found that prescribed medical cannabis may have minimal acute impact on cognitive function in patients with chronic diseases. So researchers hypothesized that the difference between the two forms of consumption could be dosing, or the frequency, or the intention behind consumption. So if and they agree with what I just said, medical cannabis, there might be more of a choreography, a prescribed regimen, a doctor behind it. Whereas recreational, like I said, is let's go get baked sort of thing. So the authors are from Harvard and McGovern Institute of Brain Research at MIT and School of Engineering and all that. And so what I take from this is, and by the way, there's another study, looked at data from 63 million Medicare beneficiaries. Now, Medicare beneficiaries are usually older, but it could be some individuals with disability. They revealed that there was no statistically significant increase in psychosis diagnoses in states that legalize medical cannabis. Now, we know that marijuana could cause psychosis because we've seen it in the ER multiple times. But the difference with this is, again, medical cannabis. Not that it's a different, shall we say, brand or strain, but there's a different choreography to its use. So what does that mean? Do we have to take our recreational users and turn it into something medicinal? Do we have to dose them properly? Yeah, I got to tell you, look at what happened with Ozempic. Now you have all this microdosing. The art of microdosing is actually improving the success of people trying to lose weight, as opposed to those saying, you know what, I'm just going to wing it. I'm going to give myself the maximum dose so I could fit into a bikini by 4th of July. So maybe it means we do need to get the doctors involved. Could also mean that the brain is getting used to it. Now, I saw this with people using alcohol. I think they did have anxiety, depression, cognitive issues, but the functioning ability of those who drank on a regular basis shocked me. And I think it's because the body built up a tolerance until the body gave out. And I've known 2 people who ended up dying because of their alcohol use. The liver just shut down. So it could be that your body is temporarily going, you know what, this is, this is how I'm getting used to it. Another issue could be that some of the individuals that are using medicinal cannabis have so much anxiety, have so much pain, have so much depression that they're not functioning well. And that using the cannabis to modulate their anxiety or their pain or their depression brings them to a better functioning level. I got to tell you, when I'm in pain, I can't, if I have a migraine, I just don't give me anything to think or process about. I'm in pain. So maybe, for those individuals who are getting a benefit from it, that's the lesser of 2 evils. So this study is important. It's interesting. It doesn't mean, though, that you could just chronically use without there being, we've had plenty of studies linking, the marijuana to memory decline, psychotic states, anxiety, depression, etc. But we also know there's different strains. And there's an art to it. And we're really learning a lot about sativa, indica, hybrid strains, different brands, different, and so there's we have, what to me this means is we got a lot more work to do. 1-877-DOC.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. We've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles, along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.
Hey, America. How tired are you of mainstream corporate media's biased narratives and manipulated news? Their dishonesty and attempts to influence this generation have been exposed, put on display for anyone who's even half paying attention. But the New American Magazine has been an honest source of news and commentary for over 50 years. This is your opportunity to receive the stalwart of principled journalism at a deep discount. Picture a beautifully published magazine arriving at your doorstep twice a month, packed with insightful stories written with integrity. It's also available digitally on the New American's mobile app. Get up to speed with intelligent coverage from a freedom perspective. Right now, for a limited time, the New American is available to radio listeners at a 25% discount on a new subscription. Visit thenewamerican.com/radio25 and receive 25% off. Subscribe today at thenewamerican.com/radio25.
Dr. Dolly Show, 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. We got the U.S. playing tomorrow. I know many people wanted to see the U.S. play England on the 4th of July. I was in England one 4th of July a few years back, and I was running around telling everybody that we kicked their ass, and it was actually pretty fun. And they were like, yeah, you did. Yeah, we did. But we like England, I think. We do. I want to talk about that, though. It's very interesting, the attitude of some of the foreigners that are coming. But we're still waiting for football season to come back. Basketball season's over. The Knicks have their championship parade ticker tape parade. It was awesome. Although we don't really see people use ticker tape anymore. With the stock market, you would look at the the stock price and then you would throw it down and ticker tape parade. But they're actually going to. They have accepted an invitation to celebrate the title at the White House. Trump is going to host the Knicks at the White House, and I think that's appropriate. I love that our president, will honor. Most presidents do honor the winners, to come. He extended offers to every team that won. Some teams decline. Like I think the female hockey team, the USA Olympic hockey team, I think declined. Sometimes we'll see Super Bowl champions decline, but the Knicks, class act. It's an honor. This isn't about politics. Trump is the commander in chief, and he's, it's I think a beautiful thing. Let them be honored. I know the U.S. men's hockey team liked it. So good for them. Loved that the Knicks won. I won money, so I love that too. So it was a really, really good basketball season. Baseball season is starting to take a little turn with some controversies of its own. I'm a Dodgers fan. I like Dodgers, but the MLB has been wanting to show their support Pride Month and the LGBTQAI plus community. And I have family members and friends of the LGBTQAI plus community. What they went through, with centuries of discrimination and murder and Nazi execution and all that. I mean, having a time where they could hopefully be bullied free and love who they are, I think is a beautiful thing. But it's a private thing. I don't think we have to involve everybody into force everybody to celebrate, shall we say. And Major League Baseball has, I guess, put pride symbols on, I guess, their uniforms. And so some of the pitchers added Bible verses to their Pride Night caps last week. And so I think Landon Roop, if I'm pronouncing his name right, had Genesis 9:12-16 written on his cap. It's a portion of the Bible verse that overlapped the rainbow that the San Francisco Giant logo players had to have on their hats for Pride Night. And then relievers JT Brubaker and Ryan Walker also had Bible verses on their caps. Another Giants pitcher, left-hander Sam Hentges, also, I guess he wore the team's standard black cap with an orange logo instead of the Pride Night version. So the MLB issued a warning that these were violations of the league's uniform policy. They said the writing on the cap violates our rules and consistent with normal practice, we have warned the players about future violations. They said, to be clear, this routine verbal warning not to wear the hat in future games is not disciplinary and had absolutely nothing to do with the content of the message, because now the MLB got a lot of blowback with this. So they said, we respect players' rights to free expression. However, writing of any kind with any message is prohibited per Major League Baseball's uniform regulations, which provides in part that a player may not write, attach, affix, embroider, or otherwise display nicknames or messages on apparel or playing equipment. We have given the same warning numerous times for people who put Dad, Happy Mother's Day, I love Mom, and names of family members. But MLB teams sometimes host Pride Nights during the regular season to support the LGBTQAI plus fans. The league has been a leader among, I guess, 4 major U.S. pro sports in hosting Pride Nights. Why? Because their season overlaps with Pride Month. And so, I'm looking at this with sports and I, here's the thing. Okay. Somebody choosing to identify a certain way, sleep with, who they want to sleep with, whether they're heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, asexual. It's a private thing. Right? I honor Pride Month for those who had the resilience to withstand persecution, execution. But that's, that doesn't necessarily mean that if somebody, shall we say, feels that is against their religion, you can't force them to wear or be a part of that. It's my choice to celebrate Pride Month with my friends and family members, but you can't force somebody else to. And when you have a uniform that has, it on there, that is forcing them to wear something that they might not want. And so that's challenging. There's also, I'm sure, freedom of speech and First Amendment issues with that. And I think the powers that be are making this a controversy, more of a controversy, because if somebody wears the pride flag, then they're not going to get canceled. And they're going to be, and by the way, I don't think it's the LGBTQIA plus community asking for this. There's always this liberal group of people that are doing it in proxy for other communities. And I don't really think the average LGBTQ person cares what a picture puts on their, if they want to express a Bible verse, if they want to express, I don't think they really care. They just don't want to be discriminated against. They don't want to be attacked. They don't want to be bullied. But do they really care if somebody's wearing a rainbow? Do they really feel like that rainbow that they're wearing really helps their cause? No, they just like the average person who's transgender, a real true transgender individual, doesn't want you to know they're transgender. They want the world to see them as the opposite gender. So they're very private about it. None of this, this is who I am today. I'm going to now switch sides and then I'm going to compete in women. That's not the average transgender individual. There are outliers, and then it messes it up for everybody else. So with MLB, there are so many ways they can honor pride. I think, did the Dodgers have something where they mocked Christianity? That was not cool. You don't want to celebrate something at the expense of something else. You could very easily, before the game, have a pride flag. How we have the national anthem, we have the black national anthem. You could have a pride anthem. You could sing, you could have a flag, but to bring every player into it individually, if some of them feel that it's not a part of their, they feel like they could be violating their religion, you're now impeding on other people's rights, and you're also making people dislike the community that you're actually trying to honor. You don't want to bring this controversy. Do they really have to change the uniforms? There's other ways to, you could have bases that are rainbow colored. There's so many different things you could do. But what the LGBTQIA plus community really, really wants is no drama and people not discriminating and hating them. That's really what they want. And this isn't helping. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
Hi, everyone. Super Bowl champ Vernon Davis here from Legal Help Center. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up, because we have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. You can find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. The call is free, the consultation is free, and you can speak with a live agent right now. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident of any kind, call now to find out if you have a case and how much you could potentially get.
Thanks, Vernon. You heard it, folks. If you've been injured, call and find out how much you qualify for. Call 800-679-0800. That's 800-679-0800. 800-679-0800. Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states. Not available in California.